kwa kutoweza kukutana, kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo
ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu, kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
Despite the development of kitchenware, cookware using modern technology, the art of pottery is still gaining popularity.
The process proudly brought to you by Buchan Furnitures Limited, local manufacturers of quality office furniture and dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafric House, Koinange Land off Koinange Street.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, we have been following up a story for you on Yala River, and 26 bodies right now are being identified with DNA tests ongoing. We do have the details for you on that sad story. And also, when it comes to business, young and industrious is becoming a favorite for a lot of you. We have been receiving positive feedback. Thank you so much for that. We do have a story on Charles, who decided that he doesn't want to tarmac after he finishes university. He's a fourth-year student, and Farah will be telling us his story. And in sports, Munga has the details for you. That is coming up shortly, but first, let's have the highlights. Fine-tuning the law. President Uhuru Kenyatta signs the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 into law. Kenya mourns her biggest fan. Isaac Juma dies in a painful attack at his home in Mumias as police takes a suspect into custody. And show us your voter's card. Youth mount roadblocks in Siaya town to deny entry to those yet to register as voters. Our sign interpreter this evening is Lucy Maura, and remember, we would like to hear from you. You can send us your messages on KBC Channel 1 on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. Now, Police in Mumias have arrested a suspect linked to the murder of Kenya's renowned football fan Isaac Juma. Reports say the suspect is a family member who was involved in a long-standing land dispute with the deceased. According to their family, unknown people got into their home at around 9 p.m. and killed Juma using machetes. Purity Museo reports.
The pain of the loss of a loved one. Family and friends are mourning the death of Kenya's best-known football fan.
Niko hapa kuomboleza ndugu yangu ambaye ni Juma. Mimi kwa kuwa shabiki nimesukumwa na Juma. It is very painful to see a brother dying like this.
Painted in national colors, Isaac Juma earned himself a spot in Kenya's national football with his unique style of support. But on Wednesday night, the former newspaper vendor was hacked to death at his home in Mumias, Kakamega County.
Akikuja Nakuru anakujanga kwangu, tunampakia rangu kwangu, akienda Nairobi maneno yake ya mpira, ni maneno ya story ya shamba, ameshawahi kuniambia matata zake wanamdhulumu kwa sababu wanataka wakawane shamba, ni sasa akasema anafuatilia, ndio hiyo kama ni hiyo imefanya Juma akufe, ni shamba, hakuna kitu kingine, sio siasa.
The officers handling the incident have since arrested a suspect linked to the death with preliminary findings that the attack was occasioned by a land dispute.
The deceased was having supper with his family when they had commotion in the sheep pen. Then they went out to find out what was going on, only to be accosted by a two-man gang who were armed with a panga. We have arrested one of the suspects. We have him in our custody, assisting us with investigations.
For more than 2 decades, Isaac was a walking advertisement for the Harambee Stars and other top clubs, among them his favorite, AFC Leopards. Many considered his appearance in stadiums as lucky charm. His body was moved to the Butere Hospital mortuary, awaiting post-mortem. Isaac Juma was 56 years old. Purity Museo, Prime Edition.
Our deepest condolences to Isaac Juma's family. Now, moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has signed the recently enacted Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 into law. The bill was approved by the National Assembly during special sittings that were held over Christmas and New Year before being referred to the Senate, where it was passed on Wednesday.
The new law amends the Political Parties Act of 2011 by introducing the concept of coalition political parties, outlining functions of political parties, as well as changing the criteria of accessing the political parties fund. The law also empowers the registrar of political parties to certify political party membership lists and nomination rules, among other transformative provisions aimed at strengthening management of political parties and enhancing democracy. Meanwhile, lack of quorum at the Senate on Thursday paralyzed House business, forcing members to adjourn the morning and afternoon special sittings.
After the quorum bill, it is very clear again that we only have 6 members in the chamber and we have 5 members online. There being no quorum, the Senate stands adjourned until today at 2:30 p.m.
Part of the specified business in the Senate was the consideration of amendments on 4 bills in the Committee of the Whole, but that failed when the Senate failed to correct.
Having deferred all business on the order paper, it is now time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until Tuesday, 8th February 2022 at 2:30 p.m.
Senate is set to resume its regular sittings for the 6th session on 8th February. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Now to politics, where Deputy President William Ruto says his bottom-up economic model will run from the ward level where small businesses will be supported. Addressing rallies in Kiambu County, Ruto said if elected, his administration will disperse 50 billion shillings to support small businesses. Our political reporter Gishuki Washura is in Kiambu County and filed the following report.
After holding political rallies in Nakuru on Wednesday with ANC and Ford Kenya parties, Deputy President William Ruto Thursday led his UDA brigade to a series of political rallies in Limuru, Kikuyu and Kabete constituencies.
Nikisema kazi ni kazi, munasema pesa mfukoni. Kazi ni kazi.
Ruto expressing optimism that his alliance with Mudavadi and Wetangula will be detrimental to chances of his main rival Raila Odinga.
Sikina Musalia wameungana na sisi. Sikina Wetangula wameungana na sisi. Kama tulimushinda bwana Kitendawili akiwa na Musalia na Weta. Sasa huyu Kitendawili munaona kweli? Si tutamsafirisha asubuhi na mapema.
The Deputy President took pride in the development projects installed by the ruling Jubilee government. Ruto promised to pump some 50 billion shillings into the wards to support small businesses.
Kuna wangwana wameketi chini kwa mahoteli na kwa maofisi. Ati wanataka kutupanga na candidate wao wa kuchunga maslahi yao na kufanya kazi ile wao wanataka. Mimi nauliza nyinyi, wale wameketi kwa mahoteli na maofisi ndio wataamua ama ni nyinyi? Wale ndio kusema ama ni nyinyi? Kwa hivyo tunawaambiaje? Ate tunawaambiaje?
MPs drawn from the central region and are allied to UDA urged Kiambu residents to support the Deputy President's quest to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Naibu wa Rais, najua in another 6 months ni wewe utakuwa rais wa 5 wa Kenya.
Nataka niwajulisha, mliona sheria ikipitishwa jana. Wale ambao hawaaminiani wanataka kupitisha masheria za kujipanga nazo. Huyu amejipanga tayari na mahasla wa Kenya hii.
Huyu mtu ya Kitendawili alisimama 1997 na Moi akamweka chini. Mwaka wa 2007 akashindwa na Kibaki. 2013 akashindwa na Uhuru. 2017 akashindwa na Uhuru. Nyinyi mkiangalia atawezana na hiyo hasara? Atawezana na yeye?
Notably absent in Deputy President's entourage in Kiambu are his new allies, ANC Party Leader Musalia Mudavadi and Ford Kenya Party Leader Senator Moses Wetangula. Nevertheless, the Deputy President is optimistic the Kenya Kwanza Alliance will defeat Azimio la Umoja Alliance. Reporting for Prime Edition, I'm Gishuki Washira.
Now, Muranga's Governor Mwangi wa Iria is the latest entrant into the presidential race for August 2022 election. The governor, who announced he would be running under the Usawa kwa Wote party, boasted of his track record in reviving agriculture in Muranga. Ruth Wamboi reports.
As the political drumbeats continue gaining momentum, Muranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria has disputed claims that the road to State House is a two-horse race. Mwangi wa Iria has called on Mount Kenya people to stand together and rally behind one of their own. The governor announced he will be running under the Usawa kwa Wote party.
Watu wakitaka kuwa marafiki, mimi sina shida. Lakini kwa hiyo kongamano ya kuuda urafiki, ondoa mjadala wa kiongozi wa Wakikuyu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Speaking while launching Uchuzi Sacco to help small-scale traders, the governor said his main agenda for the country is touching people's lives by uplifting their living standards.
Mpaka wa leo imesajilisha wanachama kama 40,000. Kama amebeba 5,000 ya kwenda kununua kuku 10 ama 5,
alipe kama kwa muda wa kama miezi mitatu hivi, na arudishe hiyo 5,000 tu, ili naye mwingine afaidike, na hata arudisha siku moja. Hii ni kazi ya kila siku kwa sababu hawakuwa vikundi na wanajuana.
The governor touted his formula in making Murang'a food secure as his strongest attribute in eyeing the presidency.
Hao wengine waacho huko wakikunywa chai wakipeana hadithi za kale, sijui heka za bunuwazi kuhusu Wairia. Mimi nina lengo. Kwa hivyo falasi sasa wamejua ni 3.
During the launch, 5,000 small-scale traders received checks and dairy cows.
Huyu sasa nitaenda niwalise vizuri, nimpatie dawa ya minyoo, alafu nianze kukamua kama wale wa mama wengine.
Nikapata ng'ombe. Sasa nikafurahi sana na nikajua ya kwamba Mungu anakuwa na mpango yote ya mtu.
Ruth Wamboi reporting for Prime Edition from Mumbi Stadium, Murang'a County.
Thank you, Ruth, for that report. Now, youth and boda operators on Thursday declared Bondo Town and its environs a no-go zone for non-registered voters. The group barricaded all entry points to the town, demanding that those seeking entry first show their identity cards and voter registration notices before gaining entry. Motorists and motorcycles ferrying passengers were not spared either. They were directed to IEBC clerks to prove that indeed they have registered as voters. The youth who did not want to speak on camera said they had been forced to adopt the method in response to the low number of people registering as voters. IFC director is expected into the country. We have those details for you and more after the break.
Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factories at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya, tupate ajira.
The Luo community is regarded as one of the Kenyan communities with the most unique cultural practices and beliefs, and if we narrow down to the kitchen, quite chilling and interesting details about this culture emerge.
owner of the home. It was the hunter, the security man who served from the pot.
That when the chicken is being prepared, there are some parts that the children are not supposed to eat.
Bless me with your love and keep me true, loving and praising you.
Hii ni maji, amekufa, ameondoka. Hebu angalia utamu wa Uislamu hapo peke yake. Utakuta sisi tunaenda hata tuongoje mtu ako mbali, popote amekufia tutazikia hapo. Wakati yoyote atakufa, hatutamchelewesha, tunahakikisha tu roho kweli imeshatoka, hiyo mili tena haifai kuishi juu ya hii ardhi, bali inafaa kuenda kusitiriwa.
Ikiwa tunampenda Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basi tumfuate mtume wake ambaye ni Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Lamma nisma' ismi nabi lazim nisalli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi. Lamma tiji sirti nabi nibda'ha.
And welcome back now to COVID update, where 152 people have today tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours from a sample size of 5,666. The positivity rate now stands at 2.8%. 2 patients have succumbed to disease, all of them being late deaths reported after conducting facility record audits in the month of January 2022. Meanwhile, more than 11.7 million vaccines have been administered across the country so far, and out of these 6.3 are partial vaccination, while 5.2 million full vaccination. Another 127,149 are booster doses. According to data from the Johns Hopkins University, over 363 million COVID-19 cases have been confirmed since the first case was reported to the World Health Organization, with global deaths standing at slightly above 5.6 million. Moving on now, Embu County Governor Martin Wambora has been unanimously re-elected for a second term as the Council of Governors chairperson. Kisii Governor James Ongwae has retained his seat as vice chairman, same as Elgeyo Marakwet's Alex Tolgas as the council whip.
Embu County Governor Martin Wambora was Thursday re-elected unopposed as the chairman of the Council of Governors, COG giving him another one-year term at the helm.
We have always, our constitution is very clear that all elections must be by consensus. You will never see us fighting over positions, never. We must argue until we reach consensus for every position.
The election, conducted by a consensus at a Nairobi hotel, also saw Kisii Governor James Ongwae retain the vice chairman's seat and Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Alex Tolgos re-elected as the whip.
Executive leadership chairman H.E. Martin Wambora, vice chairperson A.C. James Omarimba Ongwae, whip H.E. Engineer Alex Tanui Togos. Committee persons, starting with Health Committee, H.E. Honorable Professor Peter Nyang'nyong. 2. Agriculture, Livestock and Cooperative, H.E. Dr. James Nyoro Karanja.
The chairmen of the 18 committees of the council also retained their seats. In his address, Wambora urged the national government and the development partners to come to the aid of 9 counties hard hit by drought.
In view of the current food emergency in the ASA areas, we call upon to the national government and development partners to collaborate with affected counties to ensure provision of timely food and water so that lives and livelihoods can be safe.
The council also took issue with delayed passage by Parliament of the county government's Conditional Grants Bill 2021, saying it hampers service delivery.
We therefore call upon the leadership of the 2 houses to expedite this process to enable the counties to access these funds.
He also urged politicians to foster peace even as they go about seeking votes.
All of us, no matter our political interest, must be led by the words of our national anthem. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Let us not destroy the fruits of our labor in the quest for elective positions.
Kenya National Highways Authority has lauded the ban on the trade in scrap metal, saying it will tame the vandalism on road installations. KENHA, the National Transport and Safety Authority, and the National Police Service say they are working on modalities that will guarantee road safety and stem wanton destruction of installations.
The ban on the trade in scrap metal has been termed as a win in efforts to save Kenya's vital infrastructure. The recent blackout and the subsequent findings that vandals had breached the very core of Kenya's electricity supply led to announcement of the moratorium. And now, KENHA, the National Transport and Safety Authority, and the National Police Service are partnering to scale up road safety and reduce cost of maintenance.
What is unspoken is the danger that we have faced over the years because of vandalism. This came to the media and Kenyans were concerned, but we should equally be concerned about vandalism on road infrastructure and generally infrastructure in itself, because we build this infrastructure out of a lot of money contributed by taxpayers, and really there's no reason why we should incur such expense and then vandalize it again and be able to, it doesn't bring enough returns to society. And I think it's important that these menace be stopped.
KENHA says it is spending a fortune to repair guardrails and road signs, which are often vandalized or stolen by thieves.
We think that up to 10% of the amount of money that we are using to repair roads could have been avoided if we didn't have vandalism. Vandalism and also issues of accidents that also cause vehicles maybe knock out signs, and therefore once it is knocked out, if there's not enough care, then the vandals just come and pick it. And this habit has crept in until even the signs that are not perhaps damaged, the unscrupulous people come to vandalize them. So we think that this issue needs to be stemmed.
Deputy Director in charge of Safety Strategies and County Coordination, NTSA, Duncan Kibogong, attributed most of the road accident-related deaths to reckless driving.
So much of the rise of the fatalities are due to the increase of the number of vehicles, in particular border. We always register up to 30,000 border every year in the Republic of Kenya, and this has been the major cause. If you see our statistics, currently border deaths are up to 40%, having risen from as little as 5% over 15 years ago to the current about 40% contribution of all fatalities. So that is because of the high number of border.
For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I am Ann Mburu.
Two scales of justice, where two former Safaricom employees facing charges of stealing customer data were found with laptops loaded with the data during the arrest. Director of Criminal Investigation, Sergeant Peter Minor, told the court that police also found communication that the duo had with a third party who they were selling the data for in use of betting business. The accused also faced charges of demanding 300 million shillings from Safaricom to return the data.
The two former senior Safaricom employees, Simon Bailey Kinothia and Brian Joroge Wamatu, are alleged to have illegally copied and transferred privileged Safaricom database to unauthorized persons, Charles Njuguna Kimani, on diverse dates between May 1st and June 7th, 2019. When the trial entered its second day, Director of Criminal Investigations, Sergeant Peter Minor, detailed how the duo and another person, Benedict Kaboge, hatched this scheme.
Managed to arrest, we found them in a pub. We recovered from Biri. We also recovered one laptop. We also recovered one hard drive.
The accused also face a separate count of allegedly demanding 300 million shillings from Safaricom to return the data. The hearing continues before Chief Magistrate Wendy Mishemi. Meanwhile, 2 businessmen have been released on a 1 million shillings cash bill or 2 million shillings bond after denying 11 counts of fraud and forgery. Jackson Ndungu Chothi and Peter Karimi Miano are alleged to have forged a certificate of competency from mining and petroleum CS John Munyes. The father accused of using the forged certificate to defraud a company 15 million shillings purporting to be their partners in a business involving collection and sale of colonial antiques. The case will be mentioned on February 11th, 2022. Finally, a Garissa court has directed that the suspect in the poisoning of Garissa-nominated MCA Queen Teresia be held for 7 more days. Bernard Katana, together with Josephine Ambula, a house help, are alleged to have attempted to murder the MCA by mixing her prescribed syrup with a liquid suspected to be poison on the 11th of January. Katana, however, denied the charge, saying he did not know Ambula, and further claimed that his life was in danger because they live in the same locality with the complainant. The case will be mentioned on the 2nd of February. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
In Tech One today, we're talking about social media influencers, how you can make money from your social media pages. That and more coming after the break.
You said we need that document. You said so yourself.
What's wrong with you?
I can't find it. I can't find the inhaler. Philip, what are we going to do? He's going to die now. Come on, help!
You can never be too careful. I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do.
Do something!
What something?
I don't know anything. Do something. Do something!
If anything happens to my son, even a bruise, I will never forgive you. I will never forgive you.
But you went.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
Welcome back. It's time for business. Now, International Finance Corporation Managing Director, or rather Finance Corporation Managing Director Mokhtar Diop is expected in Kenya next week on a 5-day official visit. The visit aims to highlight IFC's commitment to supporting Kenya's development agenda and the private sector's role in championing a more inclusive recovery from the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. During his visit, Diop will hold talks with President Uhuru Kenyatta as well as with key private sector representatives and prominent business leaders. IFC's investment and advisory portfolio in Kenya currently stands at $964 million, spread in manufacturing, agribusiness, financial services, infrastructure, and technology. Now, those who have encroached the wayleave of electricity distribution network will be relocated, a government program aimed at securing the electricity infrastructure. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i and his energy counterpart Monica Juma says chiefs and energy sector players would sensitize the public before the relocation exercise kicks off.
The decision to relocate those who have encroached the electricity distribution network comes weeks of power outages blamed on vandalism of high-voltage electricity towers. Energy Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma says the two ministries are working on an end-to-end framework to secure electricity infrastructure and would engage sector stakeholders and the public for a seamless execution.
And making sure that our infrastructure from end to end is secure, resilient, and functioning optimally. So that they will be left here after guidance from both the chair of the Cabinet Subcommittee and myself to work out the details of ensuring that our population is engaged in surveillance and in ensuring that this infrastructure is safe.
We are going to start our process now, working jointly with our energy sector actors, of quietly but in a very orderly manner removing our people from the way leaves and then moving them out of the line. Sensitization will begin. Chiefs, assistant chiefs will meet with these people in the various areas and begin to persuade people and get them to understand why it's very, very dangerous to try and build houses and infrastructure right under the power lines.
The government has already restricted access to electricity substations that are now manned by the police.
That is very, very dangerous. And even those people who try sometimes to steal power and do illegal connections, they endanger not just themselves and their families, but whole groups of people and communities and so on.
I promise that we are doing everything possible to make sure that we are not faced with those types of challenges again.
On the ban of scrap metal exportation, the Interior Cabinet Secretary said the moratorium would continue until the sector is organized and dealers are registered.
We are not lost to the fact that all these scrap metal dealers derive a livelihood from there. They have employed a lot of our people. It's an aspect of our economy. But we can also not do it in a manner that endangers our people. Because what we have seen in the vandalism of infrastructure is actually exposing the country and almost the entire of our population in some cases to grave danger.
The two cabinet secretaries urged members of the public to play their civic duty of securing public assets.
It is critically important we work together. It's about our lives, it's about the future of our country and the life of our people.
All associated sectors will now be pulled in order to curb vandalism, which is quickly becoming a matter of national concern. Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Ibak Said.
The central bank projects that the economy will this year grow 5.9%, supported by recovery in agriculture, mining, construction, and ICT, as well as recovery in the accommodation and restaurant sector as global travel resumes. However, Central Bank Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge has identified food and fuel prices as key risks that could slow growth.
The central bank approximates that the economy grew 8% last year, supported by non-agriculture sectors such as the services industry that expanded by 10.1%.
A growth of 10.8% after the decline that we had in 2020, right? So we have it there. 10.8 compared to the decline of minus 2.2% in 2020. And in this, I think the exception which you see there is accommodation and restaurant.
This was despite a contraction of 0.9% in the agriculture sector, attributed to erratic weather patterns. This year, Central Bank projects that the economy will continue the positive path, mainly fueled by recovery in the agriculture sector, as well as recovery in the accommodation and restaurant sector, as global travel resumed, backed by increased COVID-19 vaccination. However, CBK Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge says external risks such as crude oil prices that have hit a 7-year high of $88 a barrel, as well as high food prices globally, could slow the GDP growth this year.
So this remains a significant, let's say, wild card, significant risk, uncertainty, in addition to the geopolitical tensions that have emerged in recent months.
The U.S. Central Bank has hinted it could increase the benchmark interest rate as early as March this year, and countries are keen following the events in the largest economy globally, since the increasing cost of borrowing in America could impact prices of goods and affect the strength of other currencies.
In addition, in the U.S., there are concerns about the fiscal policy or stance of fiscal policies, and in particular their project to, or should we say, their pushing the building better program, which has hit some headwinds in the approval process.
Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, this is a story that I've been looking forward to. It is a story about a university student who has created an enterprise that will ensure he does not tarmac, as it were, upon graduation. The business of this fourth-year information and technology student has employed 14 pairs of hands. Our reporter Yusuf Farah spent an afternoon with Charles Kimani in Kiambu County and filed the following report for this week's edition of The Young and Industrious. Well, we're sorry for that hitch, but we'll take a short break. When we come back, that story on Charles will be up for you.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya mwanzo mpya, bonyeza *811*815#.
Usikae hapo na kujihurumia eti kwa sababu ulikosea ama ulianguka. Maisha wakati mwingine utapata umeanguka ama umekosea. Pata mafunzo pale. Unapopata mafunzo, inuka tena. Kung'uta mavumbi, songa mbele. Yaliyopita jamani, si ndwele, ganga yajayo. Maana kuna nguvu katika mwanzo mpya.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya mwanzo mpya, bonyeza *811*815#. *811*815#.
The small and medium-sized enterprises are the heartbeats of the Kenyan economy. They contribute about 34% to the country's annual wealth, and they employ almost 80% of the country's total workforce. But this critical industry is at a crossroad.
These MSMEs are not even creditworthy in the eyes of the financial institutions. So you find when you're dead completely. And that's why the fund then would have been very handy to be able to cushion these institutions, so that, these businesses, so that they are able to stay afloat.
This week on Inside Government, we talk to the chairperson of Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, James Moreu, on what the fund is doing to jumpstart this critical industry, right here on KBC Channel 1.
Once again, we apologize for that technical hitch. Now, it's a story about a university student who has created an enterprise that will ensure he does not tarmac, as it were, upon graduation. The business of this fourth-year information and technology student has employed 14 pairs of hands. Our reporter Yusuf Farah spent an afternoon with Charles Kimani in Kiambu County and filed the following report on this week's edition of Young and Industrious.
This plot, located in Waitedhi Ward, Kiambu County, plays host to the Jamii Products Company Limited. The organization's 30-year-old Chief Executive Officer Kimani Charles, now a fourth-year student, welcomes us to the premises where members of his staff are keeping the production line alive. This is not where the factory started. Kimani walks us down the memory lane to when the business idea struck his mind.
The year 2018, January 83, that's how I started the business. That's when I started the business. And because I couldn't have the capital, I happened to borrow the Kenya shillings 1600 from Mshwari. But because that's where I could just lend the money. So after I got the loan, I was trying to figure out what can I produce. Nikanunua makatasi waste, actually to a waste. You see these bales za unga, za hiyo ya dani hiyo. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa nanunua kwa mashop, naenda nazichukua, napimua na kilo. Then I come, natengeneza mifuko. But then I could not produce kitu safi because I didn't have the idea. So I maximize that ka profit kidogo until nikaona inaanza kugrow.
This factory that now comprises 4-room spaces started operations in a single room. The CEO walks me through what happens once the khaki raw material that is locally sourced gets to the office.
We have the raw material. We cut it according to the pieces that we need. The pieces are also the product that we need to produce. Then from there we take it to the production department. They fold it. After folding, they package it. They also brand. They also divide themselves.
The business has 14 members of staff. The company focuses on 6 main products.
These products are packaging bag, envelopes, gift bags, book covers, popcorn bag, and cake boxes.
In this training room, we see those who have expressed interest in the business being inducted by the company's training officer.
We've been here for the last 2 weeks, actually today to marks exactly 2 weeks since we were here, and I can say the progress has been amazing, me and my team, and we've been able to train from the envelopes, the gift bags, to the covers, to the many other things like even the branding.
Whenever you train someone, that's an employment, you have self-employment to that person.
Imenisaidia sana juu before nikuja hapa nilikuwa nimehangaika sana. Yeah. So sikuwa naweza kujilipia rent nini. Vitu zingine sikuwa naweza kujifanyia, but sasa hii naweza penda siku moja nijipate nimefungua kampuni yangu kama hii. Sana lazima turudi huko nyumbani tutafute wale mayouths nini venye mimi nilikujanga huku nikaitwa Kimani inue watu wetu huko nyumbani vijana.
Well, the business has its own fair share of challenges.
You need to make sure that everything is learning. You understand? And then you also need to make sure that the staff that you are wanakutegemea, you make sure that they also have the comfortability. Ukiangalia hizi products zetu haifai kuwa na maji, contamination of the water. Yeah. Another thing is about the dust. Those are the two key things that we make sure that hazitaguzana nayo. Hii ni medical. This is a plain sheet ya cake boxes.
Despite the challenges, the 4th-year student's resilience has seen him grown to a point of opening other branches for his siblings, something that he counts as a success story.
I love it. I then have that burning desire to see that we are growing. In Naivasha, we have a branch for my older brothers, my sisters, 4 of them. I have also opened a branch for my brother in Kamuru, Joska, because he is schooling there.
Kimani, however, has opted to stay on the manual side of production, attributing his decision to what he terms high quality of the end product. From a 1,600 shilling Mshwari loan to a now fully functional business and financial independence for the entrepreneur, Charles now hopes to own a bigger warehouse in the future and create employment for members of his community to financially empower them. Isufar reporting for Young and Industrious from Waitedi Ward, Juja Sub-County, Kiambu County.
Wow, inspiring. From a 1,600 Mshwari loan to employing 14 people. Now, moving on, you can earn from your social media page by promoting messages for brands. This is all thanks to an innovation that effectively turns social media users into brand influencers. Today on Tech One, we take a look at how one can be connected with advertisers to earn a living.
According to Sector Statistics Report for Quarter 1, September 2021 to 2022,
by the Communication Authority of Kenya. Mobile broadband subscriptions gained by 0.53% to stand at 26 million, which implies that there was increased demand and uptake by a majority of internet users. This is good news for internet users who wish to take advantage of opportunities that arise online.
We consume a lot of products on social media from people who we follow. It's a natural behavior. You're very similar to your friends. Yeah. You go to the same restaurants. Yes. You probably buy the same type of goods.
Brian Mogeni, the co-founder of Wowzy, says the world now goes online to make purchasing decisions, with over 55% of women and 51% of men worldwide going to social media to inform purchase decisions. Mogeni says internet users are eager to share and actively look for work opportunities through their smartphones.
Where any agency, any business can go and create a campaign, something that used to take 3 months, sometimes 3 weeks. Once the creative and the strategic thought of either the business owner, of either the agencies, the leads in the agency is carried out, the execution of the campaign is much, much easier.
Wowzy owns an online marketplace that seeks to democratize influence by connecting everyday social media users with brands.
It's a multi-sided platform, which on the one hand, any business can be able to create advertising campaigns. On the other hand, social media users, or what is typically known as influencers.
Wowzy influencers are categorized as nano, macro, mega, meta, and what they call super celebrities, who they carry out marketing campaigns for brands via their social media accounts on sites like TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. However, Wowzy says focus is mainly on nano and micro influencers. These are social media users with less than 10,000 followers.
You might have your Eric Omondi, for example. He's a meta influencer in our platform, so he has many followers. But then you also have what I would call super influencers. Someone like Lupita Nyong'o, who is Kenyan, but is followed by 7-8 million people.
The company says it plans to create 1 million jobs for African youth this year, having already delivered nearly 200,000 jobs in 2021. Alanauko, Take One.
Thank you, Alan, for that report. Now, the government will review the ban on 2 avocado varieties mid next month. The Horticultural Directorate insists the ban was effected to protect Kenyan produce from losing value due to export of immature fruits that saw the price of the fruit reduce compared to avocados from Tanzania and South Africa.
Last year, Kenya exported 87,000 tons of avocado worth 14.6 billion shillings. This year, Kenya targets to increase export volumes and earnings margins by improving the quality of avocado produced in the country. Late last year, the Agriculture and Food Authority banned the export of First and Fuerte avocado variety in what it says was to prevent the export of immature crop that would have reduced the value of the Kenyan crop in the international market.
We understand when these fruits are exported and they are not ripe, they are not mature for export. When they reach the outside market, they are normally not required because they don't reflect the quality.
Wakulima wanalalamika juu ya avocado zao iwafungulie ndiposa zile ziku ready, zile marketers huwa wanachukua wachukulia wakulima ndiposa wakulima wawe nafasi ya kuendelea na biashara yao.
AFA says mature crop has the rich matter and oil content that determine the value of avocado in the international market.
The prices that the produce for Kenya attracts in the international market is always low because the buyers out there are not able to determine the qualities that we send.
The authorities says export of immature crop risk having Tanzania and South Africa edge out Kenya from Africa's top leading avocado exporter. However, the regulator says the ban will be reviewed mid-next month after consultation with stakeholders and completion of inspection of the current crop.
Meona avocado zimezaa, sasa mwenyewe atauza kwa hasara, shauri kama haitafunguliwa sasa
hiyo ni shida sasa kwa mkulima.
Farmers with an off-season crop have also been advised to seek export permission from AFA.
It's the industry that we must protect. It is the new kid on the block in terms of exports, and we have to do every effort possible to take care of the industry.
In a bid to increase market access for Kenyan avocado, Kenya and China have started talks to remove the frozen avocado requirement that has restricted exports to the Asian nation.
99% is not frozen. Mexico, Chile, Peru, South Africa, nobody exports frozen avocados. Frozen avocados is low quality fruit. The way to go is fresh avocados.
Benson Droba reporting for Prime Edition.
African community is seeking to have European Union member states collectively commit to sharing at least 20% of their special drawing rights to poorer and vulnerable countries in need. This week on EAC Integration, Betty Kiptum tells us why an increase in special drawing rights for Africa would drive faster economic recovery from COVID-19 disruptions.
Even though numbers show that COVID-19 infections and deaths in Africa have not been high when compared to developed countries in other continents, the economic impact the pandemic has had on Africa is far worse. This ranges from reductions in trade, stalled economic activity, capital flight, and depletion of foreign exchange reserves. In 2020, the G7 Finance resolved to support a sizable increase in the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights to help provide additional resources to help poor countries weather the impact of the pandemic. This increased the allocation from 6.4% to 33% of special drawing rights to low and middle income African countries. In 2021, EAC member states were allocated 0.37% of the IMF special drawing rights. Of the total 476 billion special drawing rights, EAC member states received 1.78 billion SDR. Of this, Kenya received the biggest chunk of 520.2 million special drawing rights, while Tanzania got 381.3 million special drawing rights. Now the EAC is seeking to have the commitment from the EU to share 20% of their special drawing rights with poorer and vulnerable countries. This would avail more funds to support recovery and accelerate economic growth. EAC Secretary General Peter Mathuki, who addressed the European Parliament Committee on International Trade and Investment Relations, urged the EU to consider addressing the financial needs of least developed countries and developing countries whose policy space has narrowed due to rising public debt, loss of fiscal revenue, and increased inflation due to the impact of COVID-19. The EAC community is also calling on the EU to support the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area through the strengthening of regional trade facilitation, infrastructure development, and capacity building, especially for SMEs. Betty Kiptum.
Oh, good evening. I'm Richard Munga with a daily sports update. On to a top story tonight, whereby Kenya Tennis Federation has urged the government to fast-track the completion of the Kasarani Public Tennis Training Center in a bid to nurture talent and promote the sport in the country. The sentiments were shared by the Federation's Executive Officer Nancy Nduku during the ongoing ITF Junior Tournament at Nairobi Club, where Kenyan juniors Cynthia Wanjala and Japanese Kazuki Oya advanced the double semi-final after beating Alicia Owegi and Rin Nikishov. They're going to... Well, apologies for that. You're going to be taking that story later on. But for now, 2 Africa Cup of Nations matches will be relocated from Japoma Stadium in Douala to Ahmadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé because of concerns over the state of the pitch in Douala. One quarter-final and the February 2nd semi-final will be moved to the Cameroonian capital. Last night, Egypt beat Ivory Coast 5-4 in post-match penalties to reach the quarter-finals following a 0-0 draw in regular time. Meanwhile, goalkeeper Jesus Owono was Equatorial Guinea's hero as they shocked Mali to reach the quarters. On to our next story. Golf fans will be allowed to attend the upcoming Magical Kenya Ladies Open, which will be held from the 10th to 13th of next month at Vipingo Ridge's 18-hole Baobab course in Kilifi County. This follows consultations with both the government and the Ladies European Tour, under which the Magical Kenya Ladies Open is organized. Internationally, Ashley Barty became the first home player to reach the Australian Open women's singles final in 42 years as she beat Madison Keys in straight sets on a jubilant Rod Laver Arena. Barty will face American Daniel Collins, who stunned Poland's Iga Swiatek with a commanding 6-4, 6-1 victory. That's all the time we had for sports tonight. I'm Richard Munga, but don't go too far. Cynthia Nyamai is still on the other side of the studio. Good night.
Thank you, Munga, for the sports news. Well, that's it for today. Would like to share a few comments from Alison Waidera, who has been talking about entrepreneurship and saying that we should have more young people. We do listen to your comments, and definitely it will reflect on our next bulletin on Thursday. For me and the rest of the team, I wish you a good night.